Hi, I'm CJ Elmberg with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We've got a really cool trailer sitting behind me here. This one's a good dual purpose. If you're looking for maybe a farm and ranch type trailer to haul some cows around, or even take some cattle or some other livestock to the show, this has got a really good setup here. So this is a 2025 Cimarron Lonestar that we're looking at here. So we're going to walk you through it. I'm going to show you all the options on it. We'll talk about how the trailer is constructed. Before we do that, we'll take a look at the drawing. I'll show you some specs on this trailer. So this is 28 foot on the floor. It's a straight stock trailer. We're 8 foot wide, so it's that nice extra wide trailer, 6'4" tall. So it's got some really cool features on it. So hang with us. We'll talk again how it's equipped, some of the cool options on it, and then also talk about how the trailer is constructed. Speaking of that, with a Cimarron, you're all aluminum construction. You're an 8-year structure warranty, 3-year hardware warranty, and then on your tires, you're a 1-year, no questions asked warranty on those guys. So they really stand behind the product. Okay, let's start up here at the nose. So with this one here, this is going to be the color match nose. We did the black sheeting on this trailer. I think it really ties in well with the plexiglass. When you see it from the side, you'll understand that. But as you can see, the black sheeting here, white is standard on a Cimarron. Anytime you go with a different color, there is an upcharge there. This has got the color match nose on it as well. One item that we're really happy with, that Cimarron's kind of teamed up with B&W. I'm sure you're familiar with B&W hitches, but B&W and Cimarron kind of came together a couple years ago. The manufacturer of the hitches that Cimarron was using got bought out by another company, and then we ran into just supply issues. So they weren't really looking, but they were. How it kind of came about is Cimarron ended up at B&W's plant to look at some of their robotic welders, and while they were there, they got discussing it, and B&W said, hey, let's, you guys help us design one and we'll go ahead and make one for you. So this is the 3rd generation. On this trailer here, it's not as big of a deal, but you might be hauling this maybe with like a 450, sometimes even hooking onto it with a hauler. Well, one of the issues that we run into is making sure this trailer is running level, and having the ability to adjust this coupler. So as you can see, this is a low profile handle. Again, this is the 3rd generation of this that allowed us to get one more hole drilled into that actual coupler. That way we can slide it up into this stem, and we want these trailers running level. And now we've got that. This is rated for 25,000 pounds, American made. B&W is a very reputable company, but again, very happy with that relationship there. All right, now 28 foot and 8 wide. I mean, this trailer can be somewhat heavy, especially when you're loaded. If you're using this to haul some show animals, you've got some equipment on there. When you go to unhook it, as you can see, we don't have the manual crankjack. This one's actually been upgraded to the electric over hydraulic by Equalizer. This is all we use. This is all Cimarron uses. This is what we put on trailers after the fact here through our parts and service department, because not only is it a good system and it's real simple to use and actually very handy to just push a button, up and down it goes, but it does have a manual override. So if you get into emergency situations, we could get this on or off the truck if we have to. Some of the other ones, you don't have that capability. With it being 8 foot wide, spare tires actually located down low. On our 6'10" wide, the standard trailers, this spare would actually be located up higher because of this has a larger footprint than the manual crank. So that's why that one's located there. But what you're also going to get is you're going to get an aluminum battery box with a 12-volt battery. With that system, you're going to get this disconnect. That's an important piece, because when I park this trailer and walk away from it, the last thing I do is I just reach up and I turn that into the off position. It kills power going to the rest of the trailer. So if we happen to leave a light on, we're not draining this battery down. That's not what you want to do. You don't necessarily want to have to use the manual override, but it is there for those type of situations. But believe me, it's much simpler to just reach up here. The actual controls are right here. You're gonna have a key and a switch, and just pushing the button up and down it goes. What I like about this is if somebody's guiding you back and you're going to hook this up, once you get to that position, boy, it's so simple for you to keep your foot on the brake and then just reach up here and hit the down button, and it literally just drops right on there. It's also nice if you're traveling and got some younger juniors, maybe a little bit smaller, where a manual crank would be a lot, they can help guide you and then hit this button, and they're involved in making the process really simple, getting hooked up. But I do like that disconnect. That's part of the standard just package when you're getting a hydraulic jack. And anytime we're doing a battery now, this is a new feature. It's a RedArc charger. This is a true 3-stage charger. Look, as your truck is hooked up to these type of systems, without that, it is going to work as a trickle charger to your battery, but it's going to go fairly slow. To where this RedArc, it almost works as like a supercharger, is a good way to just explain it. We're actually going to keep this battery nice and charged up. That's where over time, the longevity and just the lifetime is going to really help keep this battery going for you. You know, it's not going to allow it to get down too much. And then also it's going to protect the truck going back if we are low on voltage or anything like that, from any, you know, tripping any fuses, anything like that. So really good system there that's now being standard on these with it have, you know, the hydraulic jack and the battery itself. So we talked briefly about, you know, making sure these trailers are running good and level. This is one more piece to it. You're going to notice this gooseneck drop wall. Okay, pay attention to that, because it's almost like a homework project for you. If you look at older trailers driving down the road and newer pickups, you're going to notice that one of two things is happening. Either that trailer is nosed up and it's running on the back axle and has plenty of bed clearance, or it's running level and we have minimal bed clearance. So think of the price tags on these new pickups. You know, Ford and Ram have had taller truck beds the last couple of years. GM changed their body style a couple years ago. It went up about 2.5 inches. So again, your homework project, you'll notice that those older trailers on newer trucks. Well, what we've done and gone and did on this trailer here is this is a 53-inch gooseneck drop wall. And why that's important is early in the 2000s, there were 47 was standard. Then trucks got taller, so we moved over to a 50-inch. Well, now even the 50 doesn't give us a lot of bed clearance, and again, we're either nosing it up, which we don't want just all that weight running on the back axle, but we don't want to tear up a bed on one of these really expensive trucks. So we've gone in and made this a 53-inch gooseneck drop. We'll make sure it's running level. We can adjust that coupler. Again, we've got a lot of flexibility there, and then we'll really shoot to get you plenty of bed clearance. Now, I will never say that you'll never get into a bed. There are situations that you know, things do happen, but we've drastically reduced that by doing this, just this 3-inch increment of moving that gooseneck drop wall up. The other thing on a Cimarron is the nose length itself, the actual gooseneck. A lot of competitors will run a 7.6, 7.8 long nose. Cimarron standard is 8.2, and then we can actually go longer as well. But the 8.2 really comes into play with, one, you have additional storage up in the nose, but also, if you're running like a long box truck and you drop that tailgate, you know, a lot of other guys, you have to watch that plastic cover on that hydraulic jack because you'll get into it and maybe crack it. But with a Cimarron and that longer nose and a long box with their tailgate down, you have room. You can actually walk through there. That's what's really nice. I also think it just kind of helps balance the whole load out in the trailer. I think that's another reason why these Cimarrons pull so well. There's a good look at that black sheeting again. And then we're gonna move into our side ramp here. So this one here is a 48-inch wide side ramp. What's cool about this is, again, if you're using it for dual purposes, whether it's equipment you're loading in here, show cabs, or hey, you might be throwing like a four-wheeler on or something, you can actually drive up this, park it across. With it being 8 wide, you have that extra length that you can park a four-wheeler across this trailer itself. And then we'll show you some cool stuff in here. But 48-inch wide ramp. You know, they've done a really good job on utilizing big springs on it. As you can see, as it kind of got up to the trailer, I let it go. These springs want to actually suck it towards the trailer. So again, your younger juniors, you know, they can easily operate this side ramp on there. And then of course it's got the black sheeting to match. So as we go into the stall area, we're going to show you some really cool features. What we'll do is we'll just start up in the nose. We've been talking about that. As you can see, I've got the calf gate down right now. But over on the right hand side, you've got a tray. That's actually going to store our plexiglass. So we'll talk more about that. But it's got a place to actually store and stay out of the way. You know, I've seen trades come in where people throw plexiglass up in their deck up there, and then they throw their equipment or feed, and plexiglass gets broke. You know, let's go ahead and take care of it. So you've got a place for that to live. And then as you can see, 8 wide and 8.2 deep. I mean, this has got a ton of storage actually up in this nose itself. And then the gate just flips up. Couple latches, it's solid. This is the exact same extrusion that's on the side of the trailer. So it's not like, hey, let's just frame something in and put a little sheet of aluminum, something real flimsy and lightweight. No, this is the actual extrusion that's used on the side of the trailers that they have here. So that's kind of a good, you know, viewpoint of that. What really sets this trailer apart now is what's going to be back here. So what we've got is we've got 2 gates on this trailer, but these are 2 traveling gates. So we can manipulate the stall sizes all we want by having these on the track that actually runs off the ceiling itself. So as you can see up here, we actually have this track that these gates hang on, and then as you can see, we actually secure them to the upright posts. If you get into the larger posts where you're gonna have like door frames, like here's the side ramp, you're gonna have a notch there because that's a little bit wider. And then you're also gonna have that when you get into like the wheel wells. There's always gonna be those bigger posts. But you've got the flexibility now with these 2 gates. You know, we have it set, we have 3 stalls. So, you know, we can put a cow-calf pair in one, we can put a couple heifers in one, some steers, maybe a bull, maybe equipment in one. But you've got the ability to manipulate the stall sizes without losing a lot of usable space. You know, if these are fixed gates, they are what they are. They're gonna set them where they are, and then you gotta deal with it. So in this instance now I can say, hey, you know, I wanna put equipment up at the front, or hey, I'm gonna put that 4-wheeler in the front. I can roll it right up to that ramp and lock it into place, and then load whatever I want behind it. But now I've got, again, the capability, 3 stalls. I can actually take this front gate and roll it up against the gooseneck drop wall that we'll go ahead and do. Have you come on through this way, and I'll show you how easy this is. These are 48-inch swing gates. They do swing both directions, which is nice. So if you're walking calves on and off, you've got that flexibility, but no threshold, so they don't have to worry about stepping on anything or stepping over anything either. So once I'm unpinned from the wall, very simple to do. You want to just kind of be in the middle of the gate. And it'll just roll up, and then I can actually lock it up against that gooseneck drop wall out of the side ramp. And there's actually in a second spot for the second gate. I could roll it up if I wanted and lock it in there. But now how we have it set up is we have 2 stalls. Again, I can roll it up and just have one big open one, whatever you want. But again, having this is really gonna make this trailer very user friendly for you. And again, as you know, it just rolls on these rails, so very simple to use. And then again, it just pins against the wall. Over here on driver's side, you're gonna have a tie rail between the 2 air gaps and then a lower one. So if you need to tie a calf's head up, you can. If you need to just tie them down, let them lay down as they're traveling, you can do that. On this trailer, you're gonna have a couple things. We have 6 roof vents, so we can manipulate some airflow. That's a big bonus, just to get air movement in these trailers. You know, think about not having air movement on a hot day and a little breeze kicks up. You know, it definitely makes you feel a lot cooler and a lot more comfortable. That's what air movement does. That's why those roof vents come into play. But what you've got is you've got this roof, and what's important about that roof is that is an insulated roof that's standard on every Cimarron. So it doesn't matter if it's this trailer, big living quarters, big fancy show cattle trailer, or even a little bumper pole. They all have the exact same roof, and it's really strong. So can withstand 150 pounds per square foot. I don't necessarily have to find roof bows when I'm walking on it. Just this last couple days ago, we had a trailer in here, and we were wandering around on the roof of it. And you know, again, I don't have to necessarily find these roof bows. You can just kind of walk and do what you need to. So it's really strong. It's a 1/2 inch thick. It's a reinforced honeycomb design, so that's where that strength really comes into play. It'll take substantial hail. We've had hailstorms on the lot where our aluminum sheeted trailers will get damaged and our Cimarrons are fine. So we've had some experience there. Not to say big hail can't do damage, but you know, that's a story for another day on those type of storms. What also is really important, and what I think the real benefit of that roof comes into play is, again, I was talking about the roof vents and air movement, is what it does for the temperature in this stall area. It keeps it 20% cooler than aluminum sheeted roofs. Just think about that on real hot days. It makes a massive difference for these calves. So when they were first kind of designing these, you know, we were building these trailers a little bit taller, you know, get that heat away from the calves. And then we quickly found out with these insulated roofs, we didn't necessarily had to have those taller trailers. We keep them low pro and the calves will stay nice and cool and comfortable. So that's why this one's at 6'4". So that's where that kind of comes into play there. But again, that's standard on every single Cimarron. And then as we flip to the floor, you're gonna notice, so aluminum floor on this one, again, that all aluminum construction, but these are, this is a 12-inch deck. So if you're really studying, you can kind of make out some of the seams where it locks into place, but it locks in high and low. Like tongue and groove, it really gains a lot of strength. If you have one locking point, it has the ability to flex on you. With two, it just doesn't allow that movement, and that's what you have here. But this is the industry's best floor. Wherever you're gonna have a calf standing, they're standing on a support beam because the centers are every 4 inches apart. There's actually a V-truss in the middle there as well of that 12-inch deck. So shear force strength is 60% stronger than the previous Cimarron floor that had those 4-inch centers without the V-truss. They had the best floor on the market and they improved it. But that happened back 7-8 model years ago. So they've been running this floor for quite a while. So really good, strong, durable floor that you're looking at here. Tapered fenders. So it goes up and then tapers to the wall there. And then again, we've got the second traveling gate. Again, 48-inch swing. They swing both ways, no threshold. The reason why they're hinged over on driver's side is, you know, we just found that a lot of guys that were running these type of trailers where they're pulling calves on and off the side, you know, it made more sense to hinge them on this side, allowing it a lot easier walking calves on and off this trailer than over on this side. So that's why we went ahead and did that one there. But they're not for the wheel wells, both of them are. If you feel like you need one to have those notches kind of covered up, we can go in and add a flip over notch on those that'll fold over and make it basically a 90 degree at the corner there, so you don't have that. But it allows you to get over into these wheel well areas and still move these gates. So really cool setup in here. Last thing is you're gonna have a couple nice big LED OptiBrite lights. We like these big clear lenses. They put out a ton of lighting. They're not a big power draw. Look, these were what we were putting on our inventory trailers for a long time, pending availability. But now this has moved over to standard from Cimarron, is these OptiBrites on these stall lights. And we're big fans of them and have been for quite some time. That's why we were putting them on all of our trailers if they were available. All right, so we'll work our way outside here. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this ramp again. So it's got the butterfly latches that go over it. It can be actually locked. So you have a key that I can actually lock up this side ramp. One thing you'll notice is look at these big hinges on this. So it's even, it's welded with a grease cert, so we can actually put grease to these and maintain them a lot easier by having that, not just a welded hinge that you have to heat up in order to get some, you know, lubricant to them. So there's our air gaps. So we have 3 of them on this one. So we have your 2 uppers and your lower. Your lower is obviously a smaller one, but I showed you that tray up there, and here's a little tip for you. When you go to pull this plexiglass out, have yourself a roll of tape, you know, like a painter's tape, masking tape, and some type of, you know, a pen, a Sharpie, whatever, and just write passenger side upper, tape them together and put them in there. Do the same for the lower. Obviously your lower air gap is going to be smaller plexiglass, but still keep track of which side it goes to. because we have different lengths of actual, you know, this extrusion, this side slat that we're looking at, because on the other side we have just an escape door. Well, it doesn't match where it starts, so those pieces over there are longer, and it'll just save you a lot of time and hassle if you know where they go. And a little trick is, as long as you have a pocket knife, that's kind of my trick on these guys, but I just find where the seam is, and I just literally get the first one started, and then you can go ahead and start sliding the pieces out. This one here is a smaller piece. They're always set 4 foot back from like this side ramp or the door over there where this actual notch is. But this track is built into all the stock trailers, so it's there if you wanted to add plexiglass to it. But this first piece will be 4 foot, and then they try to keep them in 4 foot increments. You know, too big of pieces have the chance of breaking. You know, as you're trying to bend them and trying to get them in that track, they have the opportunity to break on you. So try to keep them in 4 foot sections so they'll also fit in that tray up there. But again, if you keep track of where they go, it'll be so much easier when you go to put them back in. Lower tie rail on this guy, it's on both sides. So between the ramp, the actual wheel wells there, and then behind them as well, you're gonna have it, and then you'll have them over on driver's side. We'll show you that. But this is awesome because if you're looking to use this to tie calves out, you know, when you're traveling these shows, you can have the capability, and depending on where you're parked, what side am I going to put the calves on? What's going to be the cooler side, you know, whether it's late in the evening or early morning to go ahead and tie them to, but you've got that flexibility there. We have 2 8,000-pound Dexter rubber torsion axles, electric brakes on this one, so obviously you're going to need an integrated brake controller or an aftermarket to operate that. 17.5-inch aluminum wheels. These are going to have that mod look to them. And then we've got Cooper 18-ply tires. So good running gear, good tires underneath them. You also all these Cimarrons come with this bolt-on fender. So it's a lot simpler to replace if we do tear one up. Rather than a weld-on where we got to cut it off, re-weld it on. This is a bolt-on, bolt-off, so a lot simpler as far as that's concerned when we're actually needing to change those guys out. If we look at the top rail, you're going to have some button lights, and then about center of the stall area there is going to be a 16-inch awning light. So we have outside lights, shoots down and out. It's not a pedestal light that protrudes up, but you've got some light on the outside of the trailer as well that you're operating, you know, on this side with the side ramp. As we get to the back, you're going to have, you know, your standard swing gate with the slider, but because this trailer is 8 foot wide, we have that extra width. We've actually done a 36-inch wide slider on this one. I love this because if you're backing up to an alleyway or even butting up against another trailer, you know, bouncing something across, you know, with that wider opening, you know, think about a big bred, a big fat steer, a bull, anything like that. You know, we're not trying to cram them through a real tight area. With the 36-inch wide and this 8 foot wide trailer, it allows this gate to get clear over with the hardware out of the opening. So we have that nice clear, you know, shot. So again, if you're butting up against somebody in a parking lot, you can run that slider across, bounce calves across, but you've got that flexibility there. And I do like that 36-inch wide. And again, that's because the 8 foot wide part of the trailer comes into play. There's a good look. There's that back traveling gate that we were talking about. Again, it's 28 foot on the floor, and that track actually comes just a couple feet off the back. So you again have a ton of flexibility with those traveling gates and setting up those stall sizes all you want. On the header at the back, you're gonna have another 16-inch awning light back here. So we have lights at the back, lights inside, lights on passenger side. These switches are right here. They're all individuals as well, so we can turn them on and off and kind of determine where we want that light. Now, if you watched a lot of our inventory over the last couple of years, we've been really big advocates on these, especially larger trailers, a backup light. Well, you know, think about where your truck is, the tow vehicle, and that backup light. You're going to get to unfamiliar places in the dark. It's nice to have some light back here. Well, Cimarron came up with this on the 25 models. That white kind of almost looks like an X there. those are going to be backup lights that are built into these actual tail lights. So you have 2 on the top rail, 2 on the side posts. I love it because it gives you a better light coverage, in my opinion, than just the single backup light we were using. It was kind of almost concentrated in one spot. You know, like imagine like standing, you know, 10 foot back of a wall with a flashlight and then standing a foot away from it. You know, it's really concentrated with a single, where with this one here, where now we have 4 lights that are actually projecting that backup light itself, you got a lot better coverage there. There's that lower tie rail over here on driver's side that I was telling you about. Same thing, plexiglass. But then we've got an access gate here on the side. It's gonna have the same style latch that the side ramp's gonna have, and I can lock this door as well. So you can actually lock this and the side ramp, and then if you need to on the back, if you needed to secure anything in the trailer, you know, you throw a couple padlocks on the rear gate and then the slider itself. But with it being 8 wide, you know, we have no running board on it. So at that door, we have a fold-up step on a gas shock, so it makes it easier hopping in and out of that stall area. And then again, you know, the plexiglass, again, you have different lengths. So again, where this starts versus the other side, you have more plexiglass over here, so longer, more pieces, so that's why it's important to keep track of it. And then you have some in the actual door itself and then the rear. So again, really cool setup. As you can see, you've got a lot of flexibility. So again, if you're using it farm and ranch, but then also, you know, needing to haul something to the show, you've got some really good features there. Or if you're just strictly looking for a show trailer, you know, without all the bells and whistles that covers your bases with the traveling gates, the 8 wide, and a good sized stall area, this is it. So this is a 2025 Cimarron Lonestar. I'll give you the stock number for reference. 5N240-747. We do take trade-ins, so if you're looking to upgrade, downsize, we can help you there. Financing is available and delivery is an option, so we could potentially bring this to you. So give us a call. Anybody on the sales team can help you out. That number is 303-684-3400. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.